This Talking Flutes podcast is kindly sponsored by Trevor James Flutes, making life sound beautiful. You can show them some flute love by following them on Instagram at TJ Flutes, Trevor James Flutes on Facebook, and at trevorjamesflutes.com. Hello everybody and welcome this week to Talking Flutes Extra with me, Jean-Paul Wright. On the 24th of February, when this was recorded, it was the very sad day when Ukraine became the target of Russian aggression. I was out and about in central London at a coffee shop called Monocle, catching up with the uber-talented musician and flute player Philippe Barnes. Whilst we both agree that it would be great when we can finally not have to speak about COVID, today, 5 weeks later, the world can only speak about one subject and the dreadful war in Ukraine. To this extent, and I'm sure that you're doing your own thing to help where you can by donating, the Flute Centre of New York are having an Instagram fundraiser for UNICEF with the aim of matching all donations up to $5,000. To find out more, visit Flute Centre of New York Instagram account at Flute Centre of NY. So back to coffee and Philippe, and you join us as we were musing about how the creative arts in the UK were largely forgotten when it came to governmental support during the COVID lockdown period.
But it's the creative arts were just, I think the UK government would say they did the same as Macron did and they did in Germany, that they gave people that were employed furlough, which gave them 80% of their salary, but that doesn't cover the creative arts where you are self-employed and you make your money from day to day, night to night, week to week.
Yeah, and so many people make their living from a mixture of employment and self-employment, and then suddenly, if one of your teaching jobs just stops paying you, one of them maybe puts you on furlough and you get a little bit of money from that, and all of your self-employed work goes and you're not covered because you didn't quite meet the threshold.
Yeah.
Suddenly the good living that you've built up, the respectable living that is suddenly gone for no fault of your own. And, again, none of us knew how long it would go on. Originally we thought it was
2 weeks, wasn't it?
2 weeks, and then it was 3 months, and then it was maybe this would go on for a long time. And certainly at the beginning I was not ready to hear anybody saying it would be in terms of years, although I did have some people telling me that, and some of them were correct in their guesstimates.
Yeah, but, hindsight's a great thing, isn't it?
I started. My wife was working full time, rescheduling bookings without any income coming in, and I started trying to get some online teaching, and I started focusing on future things. Writing some more books, finishing some more pieces, thinking that at least I can create something that has longevity and isn't just a short-term scrabble for money, because as well, trying to get any of the short-term jobs, I was competing with everybody else in the same position. So a few friends of mine did manage to get delivery drivers things, and but for everyone applying for the job, it was very difficult to actually get something. But I managed to get a good few students. I did a few live streams and things, which were
good. Yeah,
they were good, like at the start, but people very quickly ran out of energy to enjoy them.
Would you call it Zoom fatigue?
Yeah, I feel like the Skype ringtone gives me anxiety now. And I have a couple of students that I've kept on now. One of them is in person and one of them is online. The rest of the students I passed on to other people after about 3 months, because I got COVID right in March 2020.
And you were very poorly. So.
And I was, at the time, I wasn't very poorly at all. I was maybe a week not feeling too good, but then I was fine and I was exercising and happy
and
out
then-
for 3 months. And then I got long COVID,
Yeah.
and I'm now, that was September 2020, so a year and a half ago, and I'm now finally coming out the other side of that. My playing is totally fine.
Your breathing's fine.
The breathing is, I'd say 90%. Like I
Okay.
still struggle with cardio,
Yep.
and I still struggle with stairs sometimes,
Right.
but I'm gradually rebuilding kind of stamina and everything. It seems ridiculous, you know.
You're still looking good though. I
in
mean, it's
that
been.
position. Well, you didn't see me 6 months ago.
I saw you on Skype, on Zoom, whenever that was. When was that? So we had a coffee. That was, do you know, we have lost 2 years. The last time we
Yeah.
met in London, in Notes, the coffee place,
Yeah.
that was over 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Wow.
And then we've spoken online, but crikey. So let's bury that. Let's bury that.
Yeah,
So-
I'll be really
so-
pleased when we never have to speak about any of that stuff again.
No, but I think what's important is sort of building the narrative to where you are now.
Yeah.
Because we've unlocked, and I think it's today where all the rules on masks and everything in the UK sort of disappears. I'm still wearing a mask.
Yeah, I think most of the people on the tube still wear today, even though it's no longer a rule.
So we're having to learn to live with it. But you are now sort of, I wouldn't say reaping the rewards, but you are now incredibly busy.
Yeah, yeah, things are starting to be happening again. The summer's very busy.
As a solo artist or as a group, which ones or both?
Kind of everything. I mean, the main band I play with has had 2 years of postponements. So this summer is now full of stuff we should have been doing 2 years ago. The teaching I've really cut back. I'm still teaching at the Royal Scottish Conservatoire. I have a student there, I teach her online because she's doing silver flute principal study on the trad course.
Well, that's unusual. On the trad course, on the silver flute,
Yeah,
and is allowed to do it.
yeah. She's great. Like she's, I want to say second year now. I should definitely know that. She's just done her Erasmus over in Sweden. I think it's probably one of the last years that
Right.
would have been an option.
It's Turing scheme now. Is it the Turing scheme?
I'm not sure.
It's a new scheme, but
Yeah,
it's a bit weird. I don't really understand what's.
it's probably more complicated, isn't it? And I have an Italian guy living in London who I teach in person, and he's learning Irish flute, so we do wooden flute stuff, and he regularly brings me olive oil from his hometown. So
you're
obviously I've
paid in
kept him
kind,
on
are you?
as a student?
Now, do you use the olive oil just to debaste the wood? I take it it's first pressed olive oil. It's not, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I use almond oil for oil.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I was trying to catch you
When I
out.
re-
I was
when
trying
I
to catch you
remember.
out here to say yes. Everybody should use olive oil. First press. You've got a file. What's in the file?
well-
yeah, let's have a chat with some of these things.
I know
in
I
there.
sent you some things as I was creating them.
You were. Now this is
The CD of The Wilderness Yet, which we were due to release in 2020, and then all of that summer festivals disappeared, so we did it online, and we've now started doing gigs to actually promote it. We did a few festivals last summer, and it's really well received. I don't do a huge amount of flute on it.
no. You do everything else but flute, don't you? By
There's
the
a
looks
lot
of this.
guitar, whistle, and 3-part harmony singing. And so the whole CD, it's The Wilderness Yet. The name comes from a line in a Gerard Manley Hopkins poem, which we've set in there as a song. But all of the songs are wilderness, nature themed. And
What I find really interesting with this your group is that it always sounds like there's more than 3 of you.
yeah. Well, a couple of the tracks that we have cheated and we've got extra Bowron on there and things, but generally it's just the 3 of us.
Ryan Piggott, Rosie Hodgson. I haven't got my glasses on, so I'm struggling here. And Philippe Barnes. Oh yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's a wonderful CD cover.
The artwork's done by an artist called Adam Earlers, who I knew from living in Brighton.
It is stunning.
He does beautiful kind of surrealist, nature-based art. It's well worth checking out on Instagram. It's OEHLERS, and he's just started doing the artwork for our new album. And inside this one is a pull-out poster with 4 different panels made into one long kind of landscape picture, which depicts a different song from the album. So, it's in one of these in the sleeves. But
so should we listen to one?
Sure.
Which one should we listen to? Bearing in mind there are 6 tracks here.
Oh, well, I mean, I should probably pick one, the flute or not, I suppose, but...
No, it could be anyone, can't it?
Let's see, Song of the Whale has some lovely flute on. It's actually the TJ Celtic gold flute on that one. So
this is funny. Everyone who knows Philippe, the man who wrote Irish music on silver flute, he actually sneaks in a Goldie flute on a few of these tracks. Shh, don't tell anybody. He's sold out.
Well, yeah, I said I'd never play a gold flute until I tried that one. So.
What's the sort of... Sorry, so which one is that? Let's listen to that first.
Yes, Song of the Whale.
Song of the Whale, which is number...
Track 7.
Track 7,
And
yeah.
we paired the song by Eric Bogle with the Irish air Port Nabucchi, which was allegedly from the fishermen out in their boat would hear the sound of the humpback whale, and they thought it was the song of the fairies. So they were hearing it through the hull of the boat, and this was the slow air that they.
So let's listen to a little bit of this track, shall we?
Maybe just the fluty bit.
Just the fluty bit. No, I need some coffee. Well, so that was rather gorgeous. Another coffee's coming. We're in a place called Monocle, which great name. They do magazines, don't they? They sell magazines upstairs, but...
Oh yeah, I always used to like that one for the plane because it had loads of different stuff in it.
It wasn't very long, and absolutely nothing that I would ever indulge myself in.
Yeah.
But although I'd love to have a monocle. Right, for last Christmas,
Of course.
last Christmas, I only asked for 2 things last Christmas: a top hat and a monocle.
Yeah, and your family assumed you were joking.
Yes. They did. I had to buy myself a top hat.
I was disappointed I didn't see you wearing it today. Coming down the...
Should have done it. It's a Thursday. Now, Thursday is in our house. It's called Drama Thursday, where I'm allowed to enunciate the vowels. I'm allowed to sort of be quite artistic in how I explain things.
What you're saying is that it used to do it all the time. Your family's gone, look, We've got to clamp down on this. Only one day of the week
Yes.
are you allowed to be yourself.
Yes. And bearing in mind all my kids have grown up, and my daughter is a forensic psychologist and just looks at me and just shakes her head and just says, "You do need therapy, Dad." So yeah, monocle. I'd love to have a monocle. I just think that's really me, don't you?
Yeah.
Here's your coffee now. So that is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh yeah, we're gonna bring to you everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Coffee and water. So that is a beautiful album. It's called I need my glasses.
The
on.
Wilderness Yet.
The Wilderness Yet. That's interesting, having that three-letter word "yet" at the end.
Yeah, it makes it difficult actually when you're talking to people about it, because if you want to say, "Oh, we need to book some gigs for the Wilderness Yet," or whatever, it's like you've already got the word "the" at the start.
Yeah. But what's interesting is it makes you think. You're not just saying the wilderness,
Yeah.
which sort of closes off the story straight away, because everyone thinks, "Oh, it's about this." But the Wilderness Yet. Well, certainly for me, because I would look at that and I would probably spend longer looking at it, think, what does the yet mean?
Well, it's the end of a line from that poem. It says, "Long live the weeds and the wilderness yet."
Long live the weeds. Now, the weeds, that is a sort of a weed to one person is a flower to another, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to nature, do you think nature even knows? They know that, hey, I'm a flower, or hi, I'm a weed.
Oh, I mean, some of them probably do.
Let's go on to my favourite thing, the thing that has always driven me crackers since the first day. Oh no, you've got new ones.
Oh,
my
yeah,
word.
so-
Oh no, it's your book. Let's talk about your book first.
So there's a new edition of the book,
Irish Music on the Silver Flute by Philippe Barnes.
and what I've done is the last NFA was online.
Yep.
So I did a workshop, slightly different to the one I did in Orlando, and it was a play-along Irish music session, but it was slow-paced so that anyone could join in, and I also provided all of the music for it.
Oh, it smells good as well. You have to smell a
All
book,
the
don't
fresh
you?
book smell. So now the book includes all of the tunes. So it has, I can't remember exactly how many sets it is, but there's a load of sets of tunes at the back. Because people often, when they get a tune book, they're like, "Oh, this is really good, but how do I put them into sets? How do I decide what tune should go after the other one?" So there's a few sets of jigs, a few sets of reels, a set of slip jigs.
Everything's notated above each piece as well, aren't they?
And the rest of the book still has all of the ornamentation, and I've updated a few things, a few of the descriptions are new. So anyone who came to the workshop, it's the same stuff.
It's actually a bigger book, isn't it, than the original one? It's quite.
Yeah, and then it feels nice having it a bit thicker. But there are also, I've picked tunes that we would actually play in sessions in London, because I always found with tune books that a lot of them, inevitably they get outdated, because although some tunes are perennial, there are ones which come in and out of fashion, or the person that's put the book together maybe wouldn't have the same taste as someone else. So when you are buying a tune book, you're really, someone has curated that set of tunes for you.
I still find it incredibly difficult to get the ornaments in the right place.
Well, just put them wherever you like.
Yeah, but when I don't, it's like a cultural feel. It's like something.
I think it's the same. Really, it's the same as any style of music. The more you listen to it, the more you get a sense of what feels within that tradition and what feels outside of it. So that's why there is a general consensus among people about how something should be, and you'll always have people arguing about the fringes of that, especially on Facebook Flute forums, but there will be some kind of general idea about what the main thing is in the middle.
I mean, I did a podcast with Veronika Vitatskova
Oh yeah.
in Vienna a few weeks ago, and she cut her mustard when she was younger, doing the penny whistle in Dublin.
Oh yeah.
you studied in
Limerick.
Limerick. So really you and Veronica managed to sort of indulge yourself in the culture and understand the roots of where everything came from. So does that make a difference when you're trying to perform it?
It does, yeah. I mean, I grew up in Brighton, which was a very
That's very critical.
multi-cultural place for music, and it was, longer ago than I care to remember now, but there was a lot of Irish music there. Fantastic concertina player, Mandy Murray, Nick Pinn, fiddle player, Roger Leach, fiddle and box, and I didn't know at the time. Occasionally, Rowan's dad, Charlie Piggott, was actually over for sessions, and Rowan's mum, Frances, who did a lot of our artwork for our. We have a songbook that goes with the Wilderness, and that has all of that in it. And Rowan, once we started playing together 20 years later, said to me, "Oh, you're the blonde-haired flute player from Brighton that my dad learnt this tune, The Blackbird, off."
Wow.
I was like, yeah, I mean, I think that definitely had to have been me at one
So
of the
then
sessions.
the blonde-haired guy from Brighton. I mean, that's a nice name for a song, isn't it?
Well, I've been talking recently about how to describe my duo with Tom Phelan
That is an interesting
a
one.
real snappy, short description of what the music is and where it comes from, to help with promoting gigs for it. And it is a very tricky one, coming from a background of, I studied classically.
Yeah.
I also studied with Irish teachers. I played with a lot of flamenco bands and studied flamenco and studied jazz. So my heritage is also confusing. Like, it's German and Breton on one side, and it's Scottish and English the other side. And it's like, this isn't a simple, Brighton jazz flute player. But in a way, I wonder if that's an easier way for people to understand it, and that, all those influences are in there. But people always say to me when they hear that album, "Oh, it's jazz," and I'm like, well, I kind of think of it as Celtic, as traditional music.
I don't see it as jazz, because I think that if you listen carefully, there's so many other influences going on within that album.
Yeah, but in a way, it's like it's trickier. It's trickier as time goes on, and people have so much access to all kinds of different music. How do you go about starting to describe your influences? And it's this is something that's applicable to everybody. I started doing Nicole Ricardo's Instagram course, and that very first kind of thing was about, well, you need to decide what you're selling and how you can describe it very, in a very short sentence. And I'm like, falling at the first hurdle here.
Well, that's the problem is, you're sort of world musician. You're a musician, you're not a flute player. You're a musician that happens to play the flute, the guitars, the pipes.
You say that, and that's what I said in one of my music college auditions, and they were absolutely horrified.
No, but
I guess that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, but I have this theory. Anyone can play the flute. You just pick it up.
20 years ago.
Yeah, anyone can play the flute. You just blow across the whole and waggle your fingers. To be a musician, you have to make an emotion, create an emotion. So for me, there is a delineation between one and another, and I class you as a musician. You can play fast, you can also play slow and hauntingly. And I think trying to pigeonhole you is going to be extremely difficult.
Well, the older I get, the more interested in the slow and haunting.
Oh, the older you get. Oh, you're still a pup, you're still a baby. What you got here? These are great picks, by the way.
So, one of the things when we made that first album with Tom, the Madrid sessions, I'd always envisioned it being flute and piano pieces that other people could play as well. Because I just love Tom's piano arrangements that he creates, and his harmony and the way he does the sort of comping, I guess is the word, but I don't want to make it sound like the grooving. So there's already the All-Knowing Salmon, which Gareth McLennan
Yep.
put on his album, and lots of people know it from his playing piece. And then I've got a new couple of pieces, Jiggeria, which is a cross between a jig and a flamenco bulería. So it starts with a slow jig form that's inspired by a Manuel de Falla tune, although it won't sound anything like that because in the arrangement we did, that's now completely gone. So, and then it goes into a kind of more jazz fusion-y middle section. And then the other piece is called Up, which is like a real high energy Irish 3-part reel, which is slightly more harmonically adventurous than a normal reel would be. So it goes from D to B major in just a few bars, which is quite kind of
That's an interesting one,
a
isn't it?
handbrake turn,
Yeah.
as it were. And then in the middle, it's got a really cool, if I do say so myself, it's got a cool little jazz flute solo in the middle.
So how do you notate this? Because obviously when you saw the piano, and the piano is being played, are you busking over the top? How do you get from playing something to actually notating it? Because I can't believe that you'll play every note on here, because you'll mess around with it, won't you?
Well, what I've tried to do with all of these pieces is transcribe it as true as possible to the recording.
Oh, really?
And it's hard to do that when there's repeats.
Yeah.
Obviously I might do something slightly different on the repeat, but I've tried to put in my favourite version for someone to do that. Having said that, I'm very happy for people to vary it if they want to themselves, so I'm not precious about the performance being exactly as it is on the page.
That's quite unusual for...
But I know for when I was studying and I was getting pieces that had like a jazzy flute solo in the middle, and occasionally you'd get one that just had the chords and it would say improvise, and I'd be like, what? You want me to, how? You know, because it's all very well me now. Yeah, I'd fine, I'll play something great, this is fun, but at least give me something that I could fall back on if improvising isn't something that I'm comfortable with, or, you know, give me something that I can fall back on if I'm in a performance and I'm, you know, stressed and I'm nervous, and I can go like, well, at least I know that this will work, and, you know, give someone a framework.
This is extremely professionally done, as in not only written, but the way you presented it, the artwork, the paper, the
I used
binder.
to work for a contemporary opera composer, transcribing all his stuff into Sibelius for Novello. So my Sibelius is, you know, hopefully up to scratch. Although I'm sure he would make a few corrections if he saw it.
So how do we get hold of the Jiggeria and the other one, which is Up? That's a great name, Up.
They're all on my website, philippebarnes.com, that has either physical paper sheet music, or you can get them as PDF downloads as well. So if you want to print them out at home, or if you want to have them on your iPad or your computer, then you can do that too. Which has been great for things like, you know, I had people order from Chile, and postage to Chile is very complicated from England. They're very expensive, and I think the times, there's a few places I've tried to send stuff to, and it just never gets there.
So do you do the print run yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. And then you do the print run yourself. How many is in each print run?
Maybe 100
really?
at a time.
Wow.
And it's in stock at Just Flutes. It's in stock. Some of my pieces are in Flute World if you're in America.
Sure.
And I'm just talking to someone about distributing it more widely so that it's easier to get kind of everywhere.
Brilliant, because you're one of these guys that when I first met you all those years ago at an NFA will wander around sort of thinking, I actually don't know anybody.
Yep.
And you're now very recognisable.
Oh, that first time was terrifying. I was lucky that I knew Gareth McLennan already, and he's very good at talking to people and introducing people. So he made sure to grab me and say, talk to this person, talk to this person. So you know, that made that first trip a lot better. And I'd also met Bill McBurney
Bill, yeah.
a few months before, because I was playing in Toronto for another project, and I went to see him play in this little restaurant.
Oh, isn't it brilliant?
Just stunning. Like, I'd heard him play before on YouTube and things, but never seen him live. And I met him afterwards, and just the nicest,
Absolutely.
loveliest man. So when we went to Orlando, I went for dinner with him and his wife Svet, and like, we're now great friends and talk regularly. And he's given me some great jazz pointers. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go back to Toronto, actually. It's a lovely place.
One place I haven't been.
It's
been
we
to
were talking about
Toronto.
NFA, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
So I'm really easily...
It's just gone really quiet down
Beard
here.
off and
We've
a
scared everybody away.
Oh, that's good.
But
Oh,
yeah,
this-
but you're sort of totally recognisable now. The geezer with the blonde hair from Brighton.
Yeah, this is a good time for a picture now.
I've got a hell of a beard going on here.
Yeah, I've been trying to grow mine all through last year. It's as far as I've got.
Yeah, problem is it's matching. Great.
I'd have to dye the beard as well.
Yeah, I can't work out whether I'm best sort of keeping it long or going short. I'm just hiding the bare face.
No, I think the beard's a good look.
That's the thing with age, is that everything drops, but you can hide it behind the hair. So it's instantly recognisable now, and
Well, I gratuitously put my face on the front of the sheet music, which,
yeah, but they're fabulous pictures.
you know,
And you are.
I
you're
swing either way, like going, oh,
You're
this
so
is a great
self-effacing.
idea.
You're so modest and self-effacing. When you're not on the stage, when you're on the stage, you're sort of in your face, because that's you're a musician. Although, Come From Away, Come From Away, which is the most brilliant show, and there's pipes, masses of pipes in it, isn't there? And you get. Oh, you're actually on the stage, but you're sort of on one side. So in London, you're on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
But you get your bit at the end, don't you, when you come and stand here, this about me now, and you start playing in front of people, don't you? And it's...
Yeah, it was so lucky that came to London around about the same time that we'd moved up. And the guy whose chair it is, Matt Bashford, is also from Limerick. He went to uni at Limerick, same uni I went to, but a different time. And he's a brilliant piper and whistle player. And I dep for him maybe like once a week. Or if he's
He was
away
on
doing
when I went to
something.
see it, you weren't. I was hoping you were on it, but...
He has to come again.
Oh, it's worth going to see, though. It is just a stunning...
Yeah, it's a really fun show. I find myself still laughing at some of the jokes, and I think, and I'm like looking around at the rest of the band, thinking, are they like going? Are they judging me? Are they like still laughing at that joke? 50 shows in.
But it's just so tight. It's so tight. And I didn't know the story, but just so tight. And how everything's geared around a load of chairs. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, the choreography is
just
amazing.
brilliant.
Yeah. I still haven't actually seen it from the audience perspective. I need to go in and see it from that way. I've only seen it from side of stage or from doing it.
Because you've got a lot to play in there, so are you concentrating on the dots, or you played it so many times, just know when you're going to come in?
I'm not concentrating on the dots really, just making sure that I'm coming in the right place, but making sure I pick up the right whistle, because there's 17 different ones on the stand, and I've now quite early on I picked up the wrong one for a little bit, and it was a C sharp instead of a C.
Ooh.
You never forget that. But I've now marked all my whistles with a bit of glow-in-the-dark tape, so if it's one ring, it's a white note. If it's two rings, it's a sharp or a flat. Extra help.
If you get a chance to go and see it in whatever country you're in, Come From Away, it's just fun.
Yeah, I think it's on tour in America as well as being on Broadway. I think it's in Canada, and it's in London.
Just feel good,
great.
isn't it? It's such a feel good,
Yeah,
with a touch of reality at the end.
Yeah.
You think, yeah.
And the music's brilliant. Like the guy playing Bowron, Ray Fiend, I didn't realise was actually one of my favourite drummers from an album called Cool Fin by Donald Lunny. And we were doing a thing in the bar next door on a Tuesday night. We used to play tunes in the Phoenix Arts Club. And I was chatting to him about something, and he mentioned something, and I sort of put two and two together, and I was like, hold on, you're the guy who did drums on that? That's like my favourite album of all time. Like some of the kind of time displacement stuff they do on it, and just the tune writing is like, it's so interesting and modern. And
do you find this whole community is just much bigger than you ever thought it was?
Yeah, and it's bigger and it's smaller. Like everybody knows someone that knows someone in the trad community. You know, like you can go anywhere in the world and jump into an Irish session and play tunes that everyone will know and meet someone that knows someone down the road. And I mean, not just in trad music, but Irish people in general are always like, you know, it doesn't take them long. If they meet an Irish person somewhere else in the world, it doesn't take them long to find out how they know each other or how they're related, or, you know, which friend knows a friend from the town near them. Yeah, it's been really fun playing on that show, and I'm doing Irish pipes on it as well, which has been great to get that going again, because I did that as my second instrument at uni and then didn't do a huge amount with them after that, because I was doing a lot of flute work and a lot of guitar work. And then I did there was a 1916 The Show, which was in development, which I did a few things with John Cameron was doing the arrangements, and he was the guy involved with Les Mis. He was something to do with orchestrations for Les Mis, I think, and he was writing music for this new show. But I'm just now getting the regs fitted on my pipes very soon, so I shall have the little chords for the right hand, which is very exciting.
So ultimately, all the work that you've done in, you know, the past 2 years, let's not mention that anymore, but the last 2 years is coming to fruition now because your profile is much, much bigger, not only on socials, that I think you're due to do an FA Gala concert this year, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's one of the big ones, when you can get the Gala concert invite.
Yeah, so the opening concert of the NFA is in Chicago this year. Very excited about the food. So if anyone has any recommendations for food in Chicago.
There's a brilliant pizza house not far from there.
Excellent.
I'll take you there.
Yeah, great. We've booked our flights already. I'm just so excited to be flying again as well.
Yes.
I love travelling. I love going, especially to places that are hot. We're doing like a 40-minute set in that first.
Really? 40
concert.
minutes again? Wow.
I'm really excited about that one. Lots of other things are happening. Me and Tom are working on a new album. We've been putting together a 5-piece kind of Celtic jazz fusion band, sort of like Snarky Puppy meets the Chieftains. But,
that's going to be interesting. Big sounding.
We're 2 tracks in. We're just starting to work on the next 2. It's quite a long process because the drummer and the bass player have been busy with shows, and Tom, the piano player, has just been in the Gambia for a couple of months working with some Gambian musicians.
You got a horn section?
No, I mean, we might do for some of it. It's at the moment I'm doing flute, whistles, pipes and guitar, and my wife's playing fiddle, and Tom's on keys, and there's bass and drums, but we've got a few people coming in to do guest spots. Atta Haddad, the oud player I work with, planning to get him in for one, and a few of my flute playing friends, Callum Stewart and Orla McAuliffe, and get them to join me on a track for a 3 whistles thing. And a great Scottish singer, Ainsley Hamill's going to come in and do some songs with us, hopefully in some Gaelic singing, which will be exciting. But I think that's quite a juggernaut of a project, so that's going to take a little while to get it going.
Isn't it just? If you're talking Snarky Puppy Chieftains fusion, I mean, it's
well, it's a lot of
that's potentially complicated as well.
It's a lot of stuff to learn, get in the brain. Whereas me and Tom doing a duo, it's a very easy thing because we worked together for such a long time and written so much music together. It's just like we just need to find a time we can both do and make some things. I was chatting to Jose Valentino about maybe producing it, and it just depends whether I can get all of the things into place for that to happen. We'll see.
Well, he'd be a good one to produce it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, I think because he's such an amazing player and he knows both instruments so well, and he has so much energy.
Oh, he has too much energy. I proved that when I rang him at 5 o'clock in the morning to do a podcast, and he started talking and playing.
I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, he's just madness. So it's going to be a really busy summer for you coming up.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a shock to the system, to be honest. Getting back into doing so much stuff,
Yeah, but you can pay the bills now, which ultimately...
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
It does. And that's what we always have to remember with the creative industry, is that, around the world they've just gone a couple of years with, struggling on how to pay the bills and going out, and as you say, being delivery drivers, who for me, delivery drivers were like the 6th emergency service.
Yeah.
But Philippe, it's been wonderful to catch up. I do hope this comes out okay, and that the earlier part, when it was a noisy Monocle Cafe, I can strongly recommend Monocle Cafe. It's on Chiltern Street, just down the road from Howarth's Clarinet and Sax Shop.
Oh yeah, I hadn't been here before. It's got a nice basement as well. A friend of mine recommended it as a good...
It has, and I will put the links down to Philippe's website and also to his Instagram and his other accounts, because I'm sure you've all heard of Philippe. I think everybody's heard of Philippe now, because if you think about the contemporary flute world that most of us live in, Philippe inhabits that, but is known for his Irish style of playing as well. So if you think about an Irish flute player within the classical flute world, Philippe and Gareth would come up as sort of two easy to recognise names. Great to see you, Philippe. And
Likewise.
And let's catch up again soon. We'll do some more on some of your new pieces, but I can certainly recommend Jigueria. That sounds like a disease, doesn't it? Jigueria. And that's I haven't seen this picture before. It's you smiling.
Yeah. If you turn it over, there's Tom on the back as well. So
it's taken from the studio.
So I rarely smile in photos, much to my wife's dismay. She's always using one of those apps to move my smile artificially with my mouth into the shape of a smile. I'm like, if you see me in a photo and it looks like I'm not smiling, that is me smiling. I'm just smiling relative to how happy I am.
You're just a shy person, aren't you?
Inspiring me to go and practice. That's what that disapproving look's about.
No, I think when you know Philippe, you know it's okay to be shy, because you know when you get the instrument in front of you and you've done all the work, that when you go on the stage you can just let loose and be free. And that's what you are most of the time, isn't it?
It's very kind of you to say.
No, anyone who knows him knows that. So thanks for joining me, Philippe, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Pleasure, you too. Nice to see you.
So thanks to Philippe, and thanks also to you for listening this week. For more information on all his music, albums and video recordings, visit philippebarnes.com. That's Philippe, Philippe, Barnes, Barnes.com. So until next time, wishing you a musically fulfilling week ahead, and may your second octave C sharp be especially resonant and always in tune. Goodbye. Talking Flutes and Talking Flutes Extra are podcast productions by the Trevor James Flute Company. For more information, visit trevorjamesflutes.com.